What are buyers getting wrong in today's home market? We're going to talk about it on Today in Mortgages. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show where we're talking about what's real, what's hype, and what you should actually be paying attention to out there in the world of mortgages and real estate. It's Today in Mortgages. I got Rich Jefferson back with me today. And today we're talking about 10 things that people are getting wrong in the market. Rich, the consumer is always right, correct?
Indeed, indeed.
But they don't always know the right answers. We experience this all the time. I know you spend lots of time on the phone with some of our loan officers just working through how to deal with these problems that buyers bring up to us.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing with home buying, especially with over 50% of the home buyers today being first-time home buyers, they don't know. And our job as originators is to manage the fears and the concerns of buyers and borrowers. They just don't know, and they make mistakes often.
Yeah, we always try to coach people not to make those mistakes. And so here's some of the things that we found in an article from realtor.com. It says 10 things most home buyers get wrong about getting a mortgage today. We're going to link the article below, but we're also going to talk about it here. And so we're just going to cycle through some of these. I'm going to get Rich's take on them. I know these are things that he deals with every day. Rich, first of all, we've been talking a lot about rates. Obviously, we're in a high rate environment right now. But the first thing on the list here is that borrowers and buyers sometimes focus too much on a high rate. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, well, listen, we're bombarded with all kinds of advertisements coming through social media, through the TV about interest rates. And, there's always small print, and people often overlook that. They'll see a enticing interest rate, maybe something that sounds too good to be true compared to what else you're seeing out there, and they just bite off on it and they make mistakes. And that is the number one mistake that people make, is that they just look at interest rate without looking at the total costs. Because listen, this mortgages, people like to treat them as a transaction, but they aren't a transaction. It's not easy. It can be if you work with the right originator, but to do it on your own it's not easy. It's not like going on to Amazon and picking out all your favorite things and having it shipped to you and boom, 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 done deal. There's a process, and part of that process is really understanding the entire mortgage, the costs of doing the mortgage, the interest rate, all the things that you need aside from down payment. So don't focus on just the interest rate. Look at the complete picture and making sure that you're working with a great originator that can explain everything to you.
And knowing that the interest rate may not be a permanent situation for you, especially right now where we're in high rates, you might have the opportunity to refinance later, lower that monthly mortgage payment by getting a lower rate. Second
Right.
thing on the list, Rich, assuming you need a 20% down payment. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up, our parents, so you need 20%, you need to save your money for a down payment. And while that is great advice, and if you can have that much down, then great. And if you could put less down and get an attractive interest rate and payment that makes sense for your budget, I would encourage you to do so. There are so many down payment assistance programs, grants, things to help you with the down payment that are forgivable. So use the tools that are out there as a home buyer. Use those financial tools that are available to you, and definitely use an originator that understands all of those products and programs.
Rich, I still have conversations with people of my parents' generation. When I tell them what I do, they're like, oh, it must be really hard for people to save up that 20% down payment right now. And they still don't understand that, conventional FHA loans, you can get down to a lower down payment and get into that house sooner than you might think. And so it's a great wealth building strategy to get in a home if you can afford the payment and then you understand the costs. And so waiting to get that 20% down payment is kind of just staving off that opportunity to build wealth. And so that's why we encourage people to explore all those options and make sure they really understand what they can and can't do. So third on the list, assuming you can get a loan instantly. This is a fun one.
Yeah. Well, listen, we are a country of instant gratification, right? We have everything at our fingertips now. The technology's great. And everybody thinks, well, I just go on. Listen, I file my taxes on TurboTax, so I'm just going to use Network Funding's digital mortgage and get a mortgage right now. And it's not that easy. We make it very easy and we provide a great experience with our digital mortgage simple, but there are times where you have to interact because the borrower is not going to choose their program. They're not going to understand what's available to them unless they do a lot of research. But that's what an originator is there for, is to hold your hand through the process, weigh every product and program available to you and what's best for you and your family right now. That is the big strength in working with a professional originator, is they're going to step you through those products, and you will be able to decide with all the right information what the best product is for you and your family.
Yeah, and if you're a real estate agent out there working with your buyers to make sure they understand what that loan process is, and Rich, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's actually laws in place now to kind of slow down the process. So there's been instances where we could close a loan in 5 days, but realistically, that's not going to happen because there's some waiting periods that we have to hit, right?
Sure, 7 days is fastest you can close a loan.
So number four, thinking pre-qualification means you're approved for the loan. That's
Yeah.
this is
As
a
a
tough one,
buyer, you
Rich.
can be put in a difficult situation. Thinking you're pre-qualified, that's great. There are great originators out there that will pre-qualify you based on the information they have at the time, which means the information you as the buyer have provided to the originator. So when you get into actual underwriting, if all of that doesn't line up, it puts everybody in kind of a bad situation. So the difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval is one is underwritten to industry standards, to products and programs by Fannie, Freddie, Ginnie, USDA, VA. That's a pre-approval when it's being underwritten, all of your documents, at least your income and assets and credit, and you're waiting for a contract, then you can get an appraisal. But a pre-approval actually has been underwritten and is only pending for you to pick a property and have it appraised. Pre-qual, anything can change with a pre-qual. So just be careful. If you have a chance to be pre-approved by one of us at Network Funding, I would take that opportunity. It only takes a few days and you'll feel solid going and making offers on that new home.
That's right. We want you to buy with confidence. So the fifth thing on this list is not considering first-time home buyer programs. You mentioned this a little while ago, Rich, but there's a lot of ways out there for first-time home buyers, especially, to be able to get some assistance to get into their first home.
Yeah, I mean, there are federally backed, state backed, and county backed grants and down payments and bonds that are available to you. But again, you really need to work with a professional originator that understands all those products in your community to use them. I mean, imagine getting a forgivable second mortgage that puts down your down payment for you. Those are great things available to the right people in the right situations. But again, you need to be working with a pro that understands all the products available in your community.
Rich, so we just went over 5 of these 10 misconceptions from buyers out there in the marketplace today. And of course, we are talking about the things that buyers are looking at. But what we want to communicate today is the things that you need to be doing as professionals to make sure you're kind of getting ahead of these misconceptions. And so we always talk about communication is the key to success. And so communicating and knowing, hey, this person may not have bought a home before. They might not understand everything. I need to make sure that I'm communicating these things on the front end, especially with those pre-qualification pieces, with the timeline pieces, understanding that using a fast lender can help your offer strategy. So, Rich, what are some of the ways in these first 5 things that we looked at that we're coaching our people?
Well, one, every originator needs to understand every single product available to them. Because in order to be a good mortgage coach, you need to be able to provide those products to your prospective buyer borrower on what's best for them and their family at this time. So the best in our industry, they educate themselves. They understand the products. They understand what particular needs will call for a certain product. And I would encourage you to spend a half hour with a good pro originator with Network Funding and kind of just get an understanding of what's available to you.
Yeah, everyone out there can take a look at what they are able to offer. And I think the most important thing is having a great team behind you, right, Rich? And being able to get that support when you do need to move fast, get the support with products whenever you need to be able to be creative with how you're building your offer strategy, but how you're presenting that to the buyer and the seller. And that's something that we really value here at Network Funding. So if you're interested in knowing more about that, you can click the grow link below, get to know all about us, look inside the network, and see how you can be a part of the best network in mortgages. Hey, Rich, we're going to cut it off here and we are going to finish the next 5 in this list on our Thursday episode. So until next time, we thank you for tuning in, for checking us out. We really appreciate all of you guys. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time on Today in Mortgages. Today in Mortgages is produced by Network Funding LP, which is an equal housing lender, NMLS 2297. The content of this program is meant to be a commentary on mortgage and real estate news, and any discussion of rates and or products should not be taken as an individual mortgage or home buying advice or pricing estimates. And any commentary on this show should not be considered a promise to make a loan. All applicants for a loan must qualify, and you should consult a professional regarding your individual loan scenarios for your financial situation. Visit our website at nflp.com/licenses for all state licensing and other legal information.